This woman voted for Trump even though her dad is an undocumented immigrant. And now her dad is currently detained in an ICE detention center, on top of only having 6 months to live because he has stage 4 colon cancer.
Please don't end Dinosaur. Please delay his final memories. We have those of pain and isolation. The American flag stands for compassion, kindness, liberty, and justice for all. We're all human, and today I'm asking for one human act of compassion to please let my dad come home.
They put in a request for conditional medical release. This was that phone call.
Difficult position for us and for y'all. However, I've listened to your testimony carefully. My vote, again, is to deny the request for conditional medical release.
Continue with my previous vote, which was to deny the request for conditional medical release. That would be a majority vote to deny the request for conditional medical release.
Look, you can feel two different things here. You can feel bad for her father, while also thinking that what she did was reprehensible, as well as selfish, as well as stupid. Voting for Trump, even though your dad is undocumented. I don't know. I have no words. I'm sure the guilt is eating you alive, and it should.
This guy is sitting in a cell in Louisiana awaiting deportation because of the Trump regime's immigration policies, and he still blames Biden. He gave an interview blaming the Biden administration for this. This guy, Casper Eriksson, he's Danish. He's been working towards becoming a citizen since 2009. He has a wife and kids here, but he's still an immigrant, and they are loud and proud Trump supporters. They fell for the bullshit lie that Republicans would only target criminals. We warned you that they were lying about that. It was an open book test. In 2015, Eriksson failed to submit a form. You submit a lot of forms while trying to become a citizen. He's had more meetings since then, more correspondence from the immigration authorities, and no one ever mentioned this form. It just fell through the cracks. He had a meeting in April of this year. That was supposed to be his final meeting. This was supposed to formalize his naturalization. Instead, he was arrested and he was whisked off to Louisiana. An immigration official explained to him that if that final meeting had happened under the Biden administration, he probably would have been fine. Just to reiterate how deep the cult thinking goes, he failed to submit a form in 2015 when Obama was president. Immigration authorities under the Biden administration continued working with him. Now he's facing deportation under Trump, and he still blames Biden. I don't have any sympathy because the Erikssons said a bunch of racist crap about immigrants. His wife said 90% of them don't deserve to be in the country. They don't speak English. They're criminals. What a disgusting thing to say. And this guy, Casper, says, I'm a patriot. If you come to the US, you live and sound and behave like an American. Gross. If the facts of his case were presented to him, he would be in full support of deportation. If he was presented with a scenario where a brown immigrant who had been in the country for decades, had a wife and 4 children, had been working hard, had been paying taxes, forgot to submit one form 10 years ago, and was now facing deportation, this guy and his wife would be all for it. That's why I have no sympathy. Immigrants voting for mass deportations is just lunacy. But we know why they thought they would be safe.
Do you know who is starting to come across my FYP that is totally pissing me off? It's not maggots. Well, it is the maggots. They're a piece of shit and they're dumb as hell. They piss me off every day. But it is this whole group of the Latinos that went and voted for Donald Trump. I guess you could say they fucked around and found out. And they went and voted for a man that we told them do not vote for. They went and voted for the man that said he is going to do exactly what he is doing. And they want sympathy from us? I don't care. I don't care at all. Fuck you. And I hope you get deported.
This is how it went.
Why are you voting for Trump for? Because I'm fucking tired of being broke.
And this is how it's going.
I've been fucking pumped for this no tax on overtime. I've been fucking ecstatic, dude. I know America's been waiting on this shit. Everybody's been bragging. Man, I can't wait. I'm going to have so much extra money. It's going to, bring in so much more money per month. Wrong, motherfuckers. Wrong. I did the fine print looking. It is not fucking going to help us month to month. It's not going to help you check none. They're still going to tax the fuck out of your goddamn check.
Buddy, you voted for the man who lied over 33,000 times while in his first term, has conned people his whole entire life, and you yourself expected not to get lied to and conned? Well, I guess this is what it looks like when a Trump supporter decides to wake up, take the boot out of his mouth, and realize, yo, we were right. Donald Trump's only interest is giving tax breaks to his billionaire best friends while screwing over the middle class. We told you that. You said, ain't no way that a billionaire and his best friend, the richest man in the world, won't have the middle class's best interest in mind. And we said you were crazy, and you said we were fear-mongering, and here we are, and you're regretting this, which is very interesting. And a cherry on top for you really quick, coal miners. Donald Trump took away your guys' black lung screening. It's a disease that you guys are very susceptible to. In West Virginia, he took away the black lung screening. That was free and accessible to you guys for a long time. It's been a benefit for a long time. He took that away. So that is just a cherry on top of me trying to let you know that Donald Trump does not give a damn about the working class, and he never has. My name is Mercedes Chandler. Give me a follow, or you won't see my face again. Thank you.
Well, well, well. It's Saturday. I just woke up. I ain't had no coffee yet. I'm not even sure I should be on here telling you anything without my coffee, without my caffeine, honey. I get mean without my caffeine. But anyway, let's just go ahead and say what I want to say, caffeine or not today. If you voted for that man, this right here is on you, dear. Yes, this is on you if you voted for him. Now, you might be confused as to why I could blame a weather event on that man. Well, let me explain. You voted for that. I know, baby. I know. How could this be on the orange guy? My. You're not good at making connections, are you? Do you remember Doge? You remember all those cuts to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration? You remember we were just spending way too much money tracking weather. So not only did we fire all sorts of individuals who worked for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Agency, we also shut down weather monitoring stations across the USA. We just didn't have enough money for that. Remember, that was just wasteful. It was so very wasteful to be spending all this money to track weather and accurately report on rainfall totals. Remember? That was a waste in your eyes. We needed to take that money and give it to billionaires. Yes, we needed to take that money and give it to people who live in fancy tall towers. They don't have to worry about flood waters. Yes. Because climate's not real, baby. No, it couldn't possibly be real that over time the cycle of weather would continue to increase and get worse. That rainfall totals would continue to increase and get worse. That's just poppycock, baby. It's really space lasers, right? I'm sure the Democrats had a weather machine, right? Sure had nothing to do with all the cuts to the National Weather Service that tracks accurately storms and then reports them to your local weathermen so that they get a better, accurate report to give to you to let you know, build a fucking ark today. It's gonna flood in a big way. But this is what you voted for. Welcome to your Trump tax. You voted to give ICE all the money, billionaires all the money, and screw our National Weather Service, baby. We don't need to track weather. It's just rain. It's just wind. It's just snow. It's just ice. It's just hurricanes. It's just tornadoes. You must be so proud of yourself.
I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but a lot of people are saying they're leaving MAGA now and they're angry at Trump. And I'm like, why all of a sudden they're talking about the Iran war and Trump getting involved? Some people are complaining that the groceries, inflation, gas prices, the economy pretty much has not improved. Like Trump promised day one, he was going to lower everything, make all your dreams come true, all the bullshit. So a lot of people are realizing that the economy is not improving. I mean, I don't know what you MAGAs do when you go to the grocery store. You look the other way, pretend that the prices aren't going up for the most things, the most items. A few items have gone down, but not significantly where you can say, wow, I can really feel in my wallet that things are improving. So I guess the last draw for MAGA was the war. That Trump might be getting into a war and MAGA can handle it, can stand it, because they don't want another war. And Trump promised no wars. But you MAGAs were okay when he said, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Jimmy goes to school. 4 days later, he comes back with an operation and he's now Julie. All these lies, you guys were okay with it. So you're okay. I mean, you're leaving MAGA. You're abandoning Trump. You're mad at Trump. But you're still racist? You're still homophobic? Xenophobic? You're still enjoying seeing immigrants being deported, families separated, people crying on the streets because their family are being torn apart, and you guys are, that's what I voted for. So you're leaving MAGA with all that baggage, right? So you're not changing. You're the same. It's just because you're mad at Trump, right? You're not realizing, wow, I was in a cult. Wow, I can't believe that I had that perception against the LGBTQ. So you're not acting like that, right, MAGA? The thing was the war. Oh, and the grocery price is not going down, but the war did it, right? Everything else, you're going to take it with you. You're going to still be you. Yeah, no, that's not going to fly.
Have you ever been out and heard a voice behind you that you just knew without even turning around was ultra MAGA? It's just the sound of that voice. It's somebody who's lived a hard life, just been raw dogged by life. And you can just tell it's that gravelly sound, and it's that the things they're talking about, you can just instantly, they don't have to mention Trump, but you can just instantly tell that they are MAGA. I think we've reached that point where we can just identify people just by the sound of their voice. That happened to me at the fireworks display. I'm up here in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, and that happened to me last night. I could just hear the sounds of these people, and it wasn't anything political, nothing political at all, but I could just tell they have that voice of life has beaten me to a pulp and I live a really, really sad existence. And as I turned around to look behind them to see who was talking, guess what they were wearing? Fight, fight, fight shirts. Exactly. They all three of them had the same fight, fight, fight Donald Trump shirt on. It is just so easy. We don't even have to look at these people to see if they are wearing a red hat anymore. They've just, we've always kind of known who these people were, right? But just to be able to hear their voice and understand that this person has been beaten by life so much that they are looking to take it out on anybody else that they can. Any person or marginalized group that they feel is lesser or should be lesser than them, they are going to come at them because life has been such a bullshit road for them that they can't stand it. And it's that voice. It's not a twang. It's not anything particular, but if you hear it, you know it instantly. You're like, that person has to be MAGA. And if you find out somehow through a conversation that they're not MAGA, you are absolutely floored, because these people are a dime a dozen and they sound exactly the same. But these people wearing their fight shirts at the 4th of July were a dead ringer for MAGA, and I didn't even have to turn around. I should have just left it to mystery and never knowing the true answer, but I turned around and confirmed my suspicion. So is that happening to anybody else? Or you have this ability now to be able to pick out a MAGA in a crowd without even turning around and looking at them?
This you have to see. J.D. Vance, the current vice president, predicted the demise of Donald Trump 8 years ago. This is a very different looking J.D. Vance, a much younger looking J.D. Vance. There are other differences here as well, which may be less politically correct for me to comment on. But this is J.D. Vance. And here he is predicting the downfall. Pre-eyeliner J.D. Vance. Take a listen.
And as we've been talking about, this is not just a policy problem. There's obviously a significant issue of folks potentially losing access to their health care. But if you think of the political problem, folks have always asked, what is it that's going to drive Donald Trump's voters away from him? Well, losing their health care may actually be the answer to that question.
Wow.
And unfortunately, the Republicans, who I think have been very smart and frankly correct in the fact that Obamacare hasn't solved a lot of the core problems of the American healthcare market, now own the problem. They're going to learn very quickly, unless they craft a better bill, that it's not just enough to critique the bill that has failed in the past. You have to actually offer a better alternative. And we're going to see if the Senate is able to actually put forward that alternative.
Democrats have.
So listen, that was years ago. That was not coming from some left-wing bomb thrower. That was not Democratic messaging. That's the guy who is now Trump's vice president. And it is the guy who may potentially also bear some of the brunt of people losing their health care under this bill that is currently under consideration. And the thing is, in a sense, J.D. Vance was right. One of the few things that can cut through political loyalty is personal pain. So you can show up with the flags on your boat, you can chant the slogans, you can rage at immigrants or at Harvard, but when people start losing their health care, when their parents can't get prescriptions, when the medical debt piles up, it hits, it gets real, and they want someone to blame. The thing is, and I know many of you know where I'm going with this, the thing is, a lot of American voters have a penchant for blaming the wrong entity. Obamacare passes, includes an optional Medicaid expansion. Their Republican governor says, I don't want to do the expansion. They go, well, why did Obama do this to me? And then they vote for Mitt Romney in 2012 rather than Barack Obama. So J.D. Vance is absolutely correct, but it only works if the blame is placed correctly. Now, it's also stunning how far we've kind of drifted since J.D. Vance 7 years ago. Vance knew in 2017 that Trump's policies might end up alienating his base. You fast forward to now, the Republican Party's gone all in on loyalty. Economics don't matter. Analyses don't matter. Trump can cut benefits and push corporate tax breaks and tank basic services, lay off government employees and the whole thing. And his voters mostly will just cheer it.
Florida and Texas are in big trouble. We can't forget to elevate and push all of the damage that's happening because of this administration. We cannot forget. We have to keep it in the faces of everybody, including Maga. So in Texas, this flood, it looks like 24 people have lost their lives, and they're still looking for 20 girls from a camp that are still missing. And officials there are laying it square on the feet of the National Weather Service. They did not get any kind of weather prediction or report that 20 plus feet of flash floods, water levels were going to be coming out of nowhere. They got nothing, really. And we got to talk about that, because the National Weather Service, 25% on average across the country of the staff were fired because of Doge. Okay? Because of Doge. So now there's an employee shortfall. And these cuts to the National Weather Service, including the budget, comes at a bad time when the technology that they were using was in desperate need of an upgrade to help give information to the states so they could initiate their emergency prepared plans and communicate to people, so that like this campground could have got the proper warnings and evacuated the girls instead of thinking it's just going to be a couple of feet of water and just stay in your cabins. And when you look at the proportion of National Weather Service employees that were cut, you got Texas. Their Houston office alone lost 45% of their staffing. This is a state with high severe weather events, that in Florida. And Governor Abbott just kissed Trump's ring and said, we love the cuts to the National Weather Service, all the cuts, keep cutting. So I'm so sorry for the Texans who lost their lives. My heart is breaking for the 20 girls that are missing. But Texas, you voted for this. But I'm not done. Now comes the FEMA. the budget bill was passed, and it cuts 646 million from FEMA, and it returns, because it's sitting on money waiting for emergencies, for disasters, it's returning $882 million to the Treasury. Okay? And the program that helped communities build infrastructures for their weather events, whether it was hurricane proof, wind fire burning, non-combustible materials, this $3.6 billion program was cut. And this one's going to get you guys. Are you ready for this? The alligator prison, Alcatraz, whatever they're calling it in Florida, cost $646 million that Floridians, the state of Florida, is paying for, and they will be getting all of that money back by FEMA. So our FEMA disaster relief funds are being used for ICE. They already cut the budget, and what money is remaining, a big chunk is going to illegally house and torture brown people. And Florida and Texas, hear me out on this. 1/3 of FEMA funds out of all 50 states, 1/3 of the funds are continually being allocated to Texas and Florida, those two states, because of all the natural disasters. So now, you've got the worst part of hurricane season coming up as we approach the fall, especially for Florida. You've got these, the National Weather Service staff in each of the offices that are short-staffed. You've got crumbling technology that's needed to give people warnings about the hurricanes. You've got the major cuts in funding and staffing to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, which does the studying and hands it to the National Weather Service so that they can predict what's coming, what's around the corner. All of it gutted. So Trump supporters in Texas and Florida, you paid for this. So when these natural disasters hit and people haven't been prepared and lives are lost, so much property damage and you name it, and when you won't get the FEMA funds to help rebuild, you're going to want to turn it into your insurance company. Well, guess what's already happening there? Insurance companies are already leaving these states and they're making premiums incredibly hard, and they're not covering certain things. They're not, because they're not in the business of having hundreds of millions of dollars for every hurricane just sitting there to pay out. They don't have that kind of money.
I think the hardest part about all of this is that middle-aged, I didn't think I could get fooled again by politicians, not after W, which I voted for. I voted for peace and independent parties every election since then. And I'm still processing the fact that I've part of the demographic that ushered this into power. Now we're sending our kids to die in war again. Over nukes. Not weapons of mass destruction. That was never going to work. It's full-blown, maybe potentially nukes this time. I hate myself.
Hi guys, welcome back once again to my YouTube channel. I'm B-Boy. Remember, if it was for the first time coming across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Okay guys, in today's clip is all about the Maga supports. A lot of white people have really come out and they're really saying that make America great again. And due to this, maybe Maga support, there's a lot of people who have really came out in a large number, especially white people. They're really crying out for help. A lot of them, they have really lost their jobs since President Donald Trump came into a seat. A lot of them, they have really lost a lot of projects that they are really making them to feel bad. Maybe they feel like they elected a wrong person in the office. And a lot of people, they are really saying that maybe they want to impeach the president. But as current situation says that President Donald Trump, he has just to rule and maybe until he finishes his term. Though there's a lot of people who are really crying out for help. A lot of them that they have lost their job. Even there is a lot of white people who have their families that were really depending on them, but at this point they haven't anywhere to go through. They have no any support, and this is the reason why they're really coming out in line up and saying that they really wish they could have heard or listened to black people, because a lot of black people really voted for Kamala Harris, and a lot of people really, there is other white people who really voted for Kamala Harris because they really wanted the change, but most of white people, the reason why they're maybe going through this, it's maybe most of them they voted out of hatred, and many of them they voted out of racism. We all know racism is one of the major problem that's really going on in these western countries. A lot of black people, they really face a lot of racist while they are in there. So black people, white people more so, they just voted out of hatred because they didn't want to elect or to put a black person to maybe to be again the president of United States. And this is the reason why maybe President Donald Trump really came out with harsh rules, other harsh conditions that these people, they are really struggling a lot. Leave alone that there is a lot of people who are being deported back to their country. We all know when President Donald Trump say, when he came to a seat, he said his first agenda is to remove all illegal immigrants. And there are those other white people who are maybe went to United States without maybe proper documentation. A lot of people are being deported, and they are still being deported, and it's so sad. While you are being maybe depending on your father while you are a child, maybe you have a citizenship of, maybe you are born in another state and you have a father, maybe he doesn't have proper documentation or proper papers to stay in the United States. You are being deported back to your country, and President Donald Trump really came out and said that whether you are criminal or not, you are being deported, and there is a lot of more layoff to the white people. This is the reason why they are really crying out for help. A lot of them, they have really lost their job. They have other people who are being arrested while they are sick. I hope you have seen the earlier video where there is a lady crying out for his father because his father, he has been detained, and he just wanted to he's about to be deported, but he has only 6 months to live because he has some sort of a disease whereby he has only 6 months. This is the reason why maybe he's making calls to the doctors, at least they can help them. I really hope for those people who are really maybe going through a lot in the United States, just pray to your God, because you all know at the end of the day, God is everything. Just pray to God whenever you are to protect you, whether you are white, whether you are black, because this President Trump terms and condition doesn't favor any black person or white person. It's just affect all of them, all the people, most especially a lot of people who are really coming out and really crying out for help are most the white people, because they thought that when they vote for President Trump or put Donald Trump in an office, he will be favored, they will favor him a lot. But at the end, we have all seen the end of the result, and black people, they have really come out in large number and they're saying that for them, they have no any problem. They have been going through this problem for the rest of their life, so they doesn't see any change. And maybe this, maybe just the consequences of maybe voting for a bad person, or maybe putting a wrong person in an office. White people, they didn't imagine it could end this way, because they really know that President Donald Trump could favor them a lot, especially white farmers in the United States. A lot of white farmers really voted for President Donald Trump. A lot of white farmers really came out in large number to support President Donald Trump, so that at least maybe it could favor their farm activities, such as maybe when it's come to prices of maybe chemicals, when it's come to prices of farm tools, when it's come to maybe to selling their product. But at the end of the day, they have turned and they're really crying out, because they're saying that they are buying the materials maybe for farming for at a very expensive price, but when they're going to sell them, they sell them at a low price, because they're just going or counting losses of money, and they just want President Donald Trump to listen to them, maybe at least favor them, at least favor the people who are living in the United States, because you all know these rules and conditions, they are really affecting both of them, both whether you're black or white, because even white people are being deported back to their country. So guys, let us just pray to God and really hope maybe things could be better in the United States, because a lot of people that are being employed, they have lost their job, and don't give up. Maybe there are other conditions that will favor you. So guys, if it was for the first time you're coming across my video, don't forget to like this video, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you whenever you are.